And Thich Nhat Hanh, the spiritual teacher, the Buddhist teacher, said that the greatest gift a parent can give to their child is his or her own happiness.
So big up to all of the children, them, and them are going to be the what? The future. So we are so happy to have them.
All parents have their own, unique way of bringing up their kids. They do their best to raise them, but nobody's perfect. That's why, when they look back, they all want to fix some of the mistakes they made in the past. Here are some of the things they regret, so you can avoid making the same mistakes. 1. They scolded their children too often. Reprimanding a child for something they did wrong is totally normal. But sometimes, parents go overboard, and it turns into nitpicking. Some parents believe that the higher their expectations are for their children, the more successful the kids will be in the future. But it surely doesn't work this way. Scolding a child for every little mistake can lead to behavioral problems. Punishments for bad grades are also harmful. They can kill off the desire for learning in any child. And, of course, being too strict can have another huge downside: a poor relationship with your child. That's why you should only punish your kids for things that actually matter. A broken cup shouldn't be on that list. 2. They missed out on the most important moments in their children's lives. Of course, every parent has lots of commitments, and juggling all of them is no easy feat. But children desperately need parents to be there for them. Some occasions that might not seem that important for an adult really mean a lot for kids. Children need to have someone close to them at moments like these. Even if you think you have a good reason to miss your child's school play, do your best to be present. Find time to visit grandma, go to the theater, decorate your house for the holidays. Because your bond with your children gets stronger by creating memories together. Otherwise, in the future, you'll feel bad about how many great moments passed you by. Number 3. They didn't play enough creative games. Of course, simply playing creative games with your kids won't necessarily make them great artists or musicians in the future. But hey, there's always a chance. Doing this has a lot of other advantages as well. Any kind of activity, like drawing or playing with Play-Doh, has a positive effect on developing their intelligence, imagination, and increasing their vocabulary. Also, if your kid is engaged in a lot of different activities, it makes it easier for you to find out what they have an interest in. They didn't take their child's opinion into account. "You're too young to decide. Adults know better," are probably phrases you heard quite often when you were a kid. It was irritating, right? But this kind of attitude from parents can have a serious impact on a kid's future. If children feel like their opinion is often neglected, they may grow up to be insecure. And it's logical if you think about it. How can you know what you want from life or set your own goals to achieve if there was always someone who made decisions for you? Of course, as a parent, you can't go along with your kid's every wish or desire. I mean, your kid really can't bring home every stray dog they meet. That's your wife's job. Really. But instead of simply refusing, explain to the child why it's a bad idea. In some other cases, you can discuss their opinion and meet them halfway. 6. They didn't enjoy communicating with their child. Communication between parents and kids is probably the most important thing in upbringing. They didn't educate them about money. For some reason, some parents avoid the topic of money with their kids. Of course, these children don't believe that money grows on a tree, but they might think it just magically appears in the ATM. Without education on personal finance and responsible spending, children don't understand the real worth of money. And when they grow up, they find it hard to manage their own income. Giving your kids some pocket money will teach them how to save up and spend wisely. Besides, you can let your teen earn their own money. They can mow the lawn of a neighbor or babysit. Every time you go shopping together, tell your kids how much money they can spend this time to limit their wishes. All these tips will provide your children with opportunities to learn about things like budgeting, saving, and being more responsible. They didn't hug their children often enough. Hugs are not only a perfect way to show affection, but also scientifically proven to be good for our health. because they help protect against stress. Besides, it's simply nice to hug your own child. Unfortunately, sometimes parents don't do it as often as they should. Some of them think that being too affectionate with a child can make them less obedient. Others, especially if we talk about babies, believe that holding and hugging a baby all the time means that they'll demand it too much in the future. But the truth is, the older a child gets, the less they want to be hugged. So enjoy the hugs with your kids while you can.
Hey there! Down in the description below, there's a link for my online store called Peak by VIP TevB. That's where you get your health and lifestyle products. There's some great offers there to help and enhance your life. Capitalize on it. Check it out.
Hi everyone, my name is Gina Mcdowell. Today we're here to talk about the importance of community support in raising children. Just like the old proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. Some of you might wonder what that statement truly means, while others might be able to testify to the truth of that statement given their experience. The idea is that the presence of community support outside of the home can be extremely beneficial for our children and your family as a whole. Here are a few reasons why. Number one, let's face it, parenting can be challenging at times, and that's okay. Having trusted individuals outside of the home can provide a huge sense of support for caregivers. So for example, if you need someone to pick your child up from school because you have to work late, or you need someone to watch your child because an obligation came up that you weren't expecting, having more trusted resources, it can be so valuable, and the more the better. Number two is that outside perspectives can be extremely helpful when navigating different situations for our kids. There are several ways to solve the same problem. And sometimes our reactions as parents when it comes to our kids can really be driven by our emotions. So having a third party that can be on the outside looking in and give us a different viewpoint can be so helpful. Finally, number four, community support is also important for our children to develop those bonds and grow those support systems. We know that having a strong support system often helps with overall coping and navigating challenging times.
That we know is that building and contributing is heavily important. And today we're at Bethel Kindergarten and Preparatory School with Principal Miss McKay. Miss McKay, take your mask with me, come in and know what you're gonna do. So today that you have done this, it was your first graduation. So they can say again. So how is it that you are feeling? They want to hear it. How is it that you're feeling in this moment?
I am feeling ecstatic. I must say it's our first graduation and it was lovely. We had a lovely turnout. The time, the day sunny, and so it was, I must say, congratulations to the students and parents as well.
Wonderful. So one of the things that I can say that you have done is pioneer this moment. And what are you looking to see within the next 2 years and 3 years for the near future?
I am looking forward to see growth.
Yes.
I want my school to develop. I want new students to come.
And no support too.
Right. So we are looking for sponsorship for our school. That's the best one.
Yes.
Sponsorship. That's the most thing that
A good source.
Yes. Good source.
Yes, good source. You know it. Today we can see a new dawning, a new journey. So big up to all of the children, them are gonna be the what? The wheelchair. So we're so happy to have that.
With all your heart and soul, and worry less about preparing to be safe. Hold on to your gift of finding everything.
For a short snippet, I want to introduce you to the chairman, so the chairperson for the event. But you're Mr. Wright. Was it known that you were able to witness this groundbreaking moment?
Well, you're right. It is a groundbreaking moment. My sister, who is the chairperson for the school board,
Yes.
actually taught one of my eldest child.
Wow.
When she was at the other school, and when she still was also on the PTA board and active in that PTA board. So it's a community connection.
Yes.
So she told me she was having graduation today and invited me to be a part of it, and I just had to be here because kids are the future. We did a lot for the community, a small community at a time. The community is growing. We need more educational institutions because we need to educate our kids more, our kids fully. We need to broaden their horizons, broaden their scope. And this venture will do that. So I'm looking forward to this school growing and my grandchildren coming to school here.
Wonderful. So given that you're looking for not only better support and more support and growth, how do you feel about the turnout and to see the fathers here and the dads?
I tell you what, listen, to look in the crowd and see dads here, it's always pleasing as a man.
Yes.
You understand? Because men have always been breaking up. You know, a lot of men are this, men are that. And while it's not a general sentiment, you know, we tend to make it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
And it's good to see fathers here and involved, and we look forward to more involvement. Right? And community events like this, to getting back to community, will bring our men out more to support their kids. Listen, we need to support our boys, teach them to be men, and it only takes a man to teach a man. So we got to teach our boys to be men, so we have to be there to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone that is looking out Climax with VIP TV, I am so happy that I can share this moment with Mr. Wright right here in Bethel town. It's an amazing moment and we continue to grow with it. Yes man, and if Alright, that is totally fine. Don't worry yourself. You see because you come out trained. You don't come out trained, you know, it's a past participle of struggle. You come out trained. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Garth, how do you feel?
I am very excited at this moment.
Yes.
To be witnessing and to be a witness to this special occasion.
Yes. And to see your sister. Should I call her your baby sister?
She's my baby.
Sister.
I am the elder sister.
Wow. So calling the shots, you know. I love it. How do you feel about her growth?
I am very proud of her accomplishment,
yes,
of her vision.
Yes.
And many persons have vision, but to bring your vision into reality,
yes,
that's really solid. And so I congratulate her, and I'm very, very proud of her and what she has done.
Amazing.
And I'm behind her 100%.
100%. I want you now, Mrs. Gardner, to say something for those communities out there that might not have this level of support.
I'm going to say that all of us have the potential within us.
Yes.
And it is there in the community.
Yes.
It's for the persons just to dig a little deeper,
yes,
and to find the strength. And the moment that you step out and you can reach one, and that one reach another one, then your community will continue to grow from strength to strength.
Wonderful. Congratulations to you and all of the other persons, Mrs. Gardner. One of the things as a parent, as you were, so where you move both the place, what your feet are about?
You know, my son actually started January.
Really?
January my son started. I'm so proud of this because he started KG1 and within 4 months he moved up to KG2. Within 4 months he moved up to KG2. As you know, it's in the process.
Yes.
It needs a lot of development. And so, that's the most thing, support. You need a lot of support to build. Okay, no support.
Build certain things.
Right. Let me feel proud.
Good
feeling.
Wow. Good Almighty. And I am so happy that you can speak about this because sometimes you might go someplace and people hang about and do like close for life. But at the end of the day, you are able to see this happening. You know yourself. You see everybody come out well tidy. Everybody come on a track. You understand? You can see the lot of training that goes into it. So once again, congratulations.
One thing you want to think about with children, especially young children, this is really important. You got to get this right. When you have a baby, say, you can't believe it. And you can't believe that you're going to be able to figure out what to do with this thing. It's the most complicated thing you've ever had, and no one has helped you figure out how to do it. So you're stuck. And then 3 months later, it's like you can't really imagine what life would be like without that baby. And then it's sort of like this goes on forever. That's how it feels, but it doesn't.
Right.
You have little kids for 4 years. And if you miss it, it's done. That's it. So you got to know that. It's, you know, lots of things in life you don't get to do more than once. Now, obviously you can have more than one child, but all I'm saying is that period between 0 and 4, 0 and 5, there's something about it that's really, it's like a peak experience in life. And it isn't much of your life. You know, because you think of it as a long time. It's not that long, man. 4 years goes by so fast you can't believe it. And if you miss it, it's gone. So you miss it at your peril and you don't get it back. And that's not, I know it, with your career, you miss opportunities, you fall behind. This happens to women a lot. It's part of the reason for the pay gap. And it's really hard on women, you know, although no one knows what to do about it. So, and I would also say, well, you talk to each other, try to minimize your financial requirements to the degree that you can. See if there's other ways that you can generate income. And come to a consensual solution and try not to torture yourself with guilt, with whatever you come up with. But do remember, because you know, you've got financial responsibilities and often you need 2 incomes and there's no easy way of dealing with it. And for women, it often seems that no matter what they do, it's wrong, right? They stay home with the kids, it's wrong. If they go to work, it's wrong. If they do both, it's wrong. And I'm not being smart about that. Mm-hmm. That's rough, man. Mm-hmm. But having said all that, I would say again, you got little kids for 4 years. Don't miss it. You will regret it. Hey, mom does everything for me. It's like, oh, really? You know, that's not so good because that means you can't do anything for yourself. You know, and so there's a rule for working with old people in old age homes, and the rule is don't do anything for the residents that they can do themselves. You think, well, that's pretty harsh. It's like, no, it isn't. You're helping them retain their independence and their strength, right? Yeah. So you're not stealing their strength. And it's the same with little kids. Like, little kids should be doing whatever they can that's productive and useful as young as they can. Like, if you have a 2-year-old who's just toddling around, you know, you can get that 2-year-old to set the table. We used to have our kids do that. It's really funny to watch, because the table's like a foot and a half above their heads, you know. Right. So, you know, you give the 2-year-old a knife, not a sharp one, obviously.
That's a different psychological game. You can save that for next time, Peterson. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you say, okay, go put this on the table. No, they can't exactly put it beside the plate because they can't see the damn plate. Right. But the kids are actually, if you're careful with them and you adjust your expectations to their level of developing expertise, that's called the zone of proximal development, by the way, they're more than happy to comply because it helps them develop and move forward, and they have a really powerful instinct for that. You know, and with kids, it's also interesting if you watch them very carefully, you can see when they're ready for the next task, you know. And then also the kids, you know, people talk a lot about self-esteem, which is it's very badly conceptualized self-esteem, because it's come to mean you should feel good about yourself, which I don't believe. I think you should feel good about who you could be if you got your act together. And you shouldn't be feeling so good about who you are now in your sorry state. It's like, what the hell, man? You're 17. Don't be feeling too good about yourself. Get your act together and see what you could be and feel good about your trajectory. Yeah. That's way different, but also your competence. And so, like, even with little kids, is they know they're being taken care of. They have an existential debt to their parents. It's like if you allow them to be useful and encourage them to do things, then they get to pay off that existential debt. And then they can see that they're contributing members of even this small society. And it's no lie.
I think that the best thing that we can do is to think about what it was like for us. And know what our children are going through.
But you know what, it's so hard once you get to be a parent. You always say, I will never do this. When your mother's doing it to you or your father's doing it to you, you say, I will never do this to my child. And then you get to our age and you forget what it was like to be this size. You really do forget.
But those children can help re-evoke what it was like. And that's why when you're a parent, you have a new chance to grow.